Hey everyone, welcome to Steph and Key TV. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of today's video. Alright, Beverly Hills, let's get into it. So we are back with the ladies. It's season 11. We open with Lisa Rinna visiting Kyle. Kyle's got a new nose. She's lying to us and telling us that she got hit in the face shooting Halloween. We do not believe her, do we? No, we don't. Like, you wanted a new nose, Kyle. Just say it. Just say it. So she has a new nose, but it's still like bandaged and stuff, so we can't. Well, we see the new nose in the confessional. And then we're with Erica and Dorit. Dorit driving Erica around in her new toy car, like this fast, fabulous car. It's a toy car. I think Dorit has moved again. I mean, since we're only like with Beverly Hills, we're only allowed to stick with one storyline, which we know this season is going to be Erica. Like we like never get to really fully dive into Dorit's messy financial situation, like ever. Just like in tabloids and stuff, and when we see like people chasing them down at resorts to collect their money, but we never get to see it on the show. So I think Dorit's in a new house. She's driving around in her toy car. They're talking about, being in the pandemic and being at home with the kids, and Erica's spending more time with Tom. She talks about, like, how much it sucked because she was on a high with her New York Times bestselling book, and she was on Broadway, and now it's like being stuck at home every day. You don't get to work, which I have to admit, if I was on Broadway, I'd be sad as a mug if I had to go from that to being stuck at home. But, it just feels so weird that everything, like, they're just being so normal when we know all of this chaos is going on behind the scenes with Erica and Tom. So I'm really curious when they're going to, like, release this information on the show. So now we're back with Kyle and Lisa Rinna, and they're just talking about, like, what they've been up to. Kyle and Dorit hanging out. The two of them and their husbands have just been rekindling their friendship, which I think is hilarious. Now that Teddy's gone, of course, Kyle has welcomed Dorit back as her best buddy when she like wanted nothing to do with her last season because she had Teddy. And I feel like the first season I did not like Dorit at all, and I kind of didn't like her her second season, and then I started to like her. So I like Dorit now. But I feel like Dorit keeps getting screwed because, like, Lisa Vanderpump, she was Lisa Vanderpump's best friend. She did run her mouth, though, and Lisa Vanderpump kicked her to the curb and made Teddy her best friend. And then Kyle, once Lisa Vanderpump was gone, Kyle and Dorit were all chummy, but then Kyle made Teddy her best friend and kicked Dorit to the curb again. So it's like Dorit can't catch a break. But now that Teddy's gone, her and Kyle are best buds again. And I feel like it's so fake and phony. I just really do. I'm not buying it. She talks about how PK and Mauricio are like competing for hottest husband. PK, cut it out. Just stop. She also brings up Garcelle and how like Garcelle unfollowed her on Instagram. And she was like, I don't know why. Shady editors at Bravo showed the clip of Kyle calling out Garcelle not paying the charity money at Kyle's charity event on national TV, and Kyle somehow wonders why Garcelle's not her friend. Like, girl, like, I have not liked Kyle in like a long time. She's just like sneaky messy. She's almost as bad as Lisa Vanderpump with the sneakiness. I have not liked Kyle in a long time, but I did love the fact that she admitted she's like, all that's going on in the world, am I really going to be upset that someone unfollowed me on Instagram? And she said yes. And I love that. I love her honesty. I think that's hilarious. Most people like would not admit that, but you really like, sometimes it does bother you when people unfollow you. So I do love that she admitted that. But you deserved it, Kyle. You deserve to be unfollowed. So it's interesting. Garcelle and Sutton have become fast friends, which was kind of weird for me to see because remember last season when like Sutton got all like in a tiff, like, mad about like Garcelle asking her where her money came from. I mean, granted, it's a rude question, but like we want to know as viewers, so I was glad that she asked. She just made it like weird, and so like I didn't think that they were going to be friends, but they're friends. They're having a good time. They've been hanging out for the past year, which I think is pretty cool. They're hanging out it's Garcelle and Sutton and Sheree. We know Will Smith's ex-wife. We saw her last season as well, just like an episode. So I don't know how often we're gonna see her this season, but it's cool to see her on another reality show because she was on that The Real Exes or something like that, Hollywood Exes. I can't remember. But they're just sitting around having a good time talking about who they've seen and who they still talk to. Garcelle lets us know that she's going to meet up with Lisa Rinna for lunch or coffee or whatever to kind of work on their friendship because Lisa Rinna last season was a hot, terrible mess and was just awful to Denise. And I mean, I'm a little nervous that she's going to try to do the same thing to Garcelle this season, especially since she's so chummy with Kyle. So we'll see. But Sutton is an interesting one. I'm not sure how I completely feel about Sutton. Last season, I did not like her for like the good half of her first season. And then towards the end, I did like her. So she's not so bad right now. So we'll see. So Dorit and Erica show up to Kyle's house to see her new nose. And they're just chatting. Mauricio comes in and brings them drinks, which is really nice. And then he offers them food, which is such a nice husband. He still looks good. I guess he just turned 50. Like, Mauricio has been the hottest house husband from Beverly Hills since it started. He just has. He still looks good. I'm glad that she did convince him to cut that mohawk. He was calling it a mo for Mauricio hawk. And I'm just, glad we didn't have to see that for a full season. He looks great. And they're just talking about like what they've been up to. Dorit wants to have like a fancy barbecue so they can get dolled up because everybody's been in PJs for the full pandemic. So then we head over to Dorit's house. She's getting the kids ready for school. Jagger's being a little badass kid. He wants to be picked up and carried, and she's like no. So her and Kingsley, the daughter, they like just leave him, and he's like making threats. I guess you don't want any more hugs and kisses. Oh, like, if you don't get your little badass downstairs. Eventually, he does go downstairs. They compromise. She carries him like halfway. And and then we head over to Kyle's old house. She is renting it to Sutton. Sutton's bought a new house. She sold her old house. She bought a new house, but it needs renovations. So she's renting Kyle's old house for a family discount. It was like $25,000. That's what she normally rents it for. And she's letting Sutton rent it for $20,000. So it's good to have friends, right? She's getting a little discount. But the house, like we get a little trip down memory lane looking down the house. And it's nice to see it again. And now we're heading over to Garcelle. She's about to meet with Lisa Rinna, and she's not happy about it at all. And I wouldn't be either. Like, even if someone was my friend, but they treated my other friend like complete trash, I don't know if I could ever be friends with that person ever again. Like, even for a show. I don't know if I could. So, as soon as Garcelle and Rinna sit down, of course, Rinna just, I care a lot about you, and I want to apologize, like, immediately, right off the bat. And Garcelle, like, she knows what's up. In her confessional, she's like, Rinna's owning it right now, so I won't come for her. And she just goes into, like, all of these weird stuff. Like, hurt people. I was hurt. I really, was trying to protect Denise. And Garcelle was like, what? She's like, if that's your idea of help, don't help me. She's like, no, thank you. And she's like, why didn't you just stick up for her? Why couldn't you just be there for her? And Rinna is all BS. Like, I wish I could have. I should have. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just a mess. So, Rinna is playing the whole, self-deprecating thing. Like, I'm trash. I was messed up. It's my fault. I effed up. And Garcelle is just pretty much like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. And Rinna's like, let's just try to move on from here. Garcelle's like, I'm going to tread lightly, but I'm open. And that's all she said. So this is where we are right now. She's open. So we'll see how or if they can have a friendship again. We get a little moment with Erica and her assistant and, dang, I forgot his name. The stylist dude. I forgot his name. And the choreographer. He's like everything to her. But they're just talking about all the clothes she has and she has nothing to do, and Tom, and every time we hear about Tom now, it's just like, It's so like this little old man just did so much damage, and it's hard to see him as like a little old man now. He's like this super villain, and it's just really weird. Like her talking about him going back to work, and I don't know. It's just so weird. Like it's even weird talking about it because I mean I don't know what to say. Like he's this villain, and she's just talking about it as it's like regular life. It's weird. I'm really ready for them to like go ahead and put it all out there so that we can like really talk about it and not pretend like he's this cute little old man, you know, like a grandfather. Like no, he's like a wretched, horrible person. Dorit comes over to Garcelle's place to visit. I guess Garcelle just finished taping for the reel. She's like in this fabulous Chanel outfit. I don't know much about fashion, just the tiny little bit I learned from Project Runway. So I don't know if it's fabulous or not, but she looks fabulous. And they're just chatting. She shows her new fish. She's got one like multicolored looking fish, and she said that's Dorit because it's fashionably fabulous. And then she has a regular ass goldfish, and she said that's Kyle because it's ordinary. Kyle's the regular ass goldfish. I mean, I don't feel like that's that bad of shade. I mean, really, that's harmless, fun shade. So Kyle and Rinna are on the way to meet Crystal Minkoff, the new housewife, which is Kathy's friend, Kyle's sister's friend. Kyle's sister, yeah, friend. I was right. They're going to meet her, drop off some toys for the Children's Hospital at Crystal's house. Meanwhile, Garcelle and Dorit are talking about like Garcelle's meetup with Rinna. She's just saying like, I mean, I'm open, but I still don't really trust her. And Dorit's like, that's fine. Like, I feel like that's pretty understandable. And she's like, I felt the same way when Rinna and I had our little tiff. And Garcelle's like, well, do you trust her now? And she's like, yeah. And Garcelle's like, why did you hesitate? We see like the flashback of when Rinna was like, were people doing coke in your bathroom to Dorit? I'm sorry, but that was like one of those moments that will live down in Beverly Hills housewife history because it just came like out of left field, and it was perfect though. Yeah, it was perfect TV. So, but she like in her confessional, Dorit's like they've gotten on to a much better foot, and they're like friends. They're friends now. But on the other side, Rinna's telling Kyle that like, yeah, we made up. Me and Garcelle are good, and so like she's completely unaware that Garcelle is like, Even though Garcelle did say she was treading lightly, so, but in Rinna's mind, like, they're friends again, so it's gonna be interesting. So we meet Crystal Minkoff. She's a new housewife, and Kyle and Rinna are dropping off the toys. Rob, Crystal's husband, lets them in. Crystal's in the kitchen cooking, and she is much taller than I was expecting. Like, all of these ladies are usually pretty small, like short, and just from pictures, she never looked that tall, but she is tall. And they start talking about like how her and Rob met, and we get like there's an age gap. I'm not sure of the age gap, but there's an age gap between them. But he directed The Lion King, and you know he's like into animation and stuff. And Lisa Rinna is like, people don't usually name drop themselves, but he directed The Lion King, and I kind of agree. I'm like, if I directed The Lion King, I would be name dropping myself as well. I love Rinna's commentary throughout this whole conversation. Crystal is like telling us about like her culture, and they're talking about kids and stuff, and Crystal's saying that like to have a boy is like very like Chinese, and it's like looked upon as like he's like the little emperor. And she's saying like she planned it, she did all of the stuff to like have a boy first, and when she had the boy, like her whole family was super happy. And Lisa Rinna is just like, look, I didn't plan a thing. We had sex, I got pregnant, and then I had the baby in that order. I'm just cracking up. And then she said, 8 is a very like special number in Chinese culture. And I was like, thank God, like we don't have that in Black American culture, because I'm just like, I can't be tied to something. Like I have my favorite numbers, but I don't want to be like held to that while I'm trying to give birth, because that seems like hard enough. But she said like it was like 7:20, and she was like holding the little girl in until 8 o'clock, and then 8 she had the baby, and it was like perfect. And Lisa Rinna was like, wow, that's a lot of work. I'm just like, Lord, your poor vagina and that poor baby. But I mean, it worked out perfectly. She got exactly what she wanted, so more power to her. So everyone's getting ready for Dorit's barbecue. Dorit's kids are shading the mess out of her outfit. Jagger says it looks like a robe. It doesn't look that good. The daughters tells her that she can see her boobies, and asks her why she wore that dress. She wore the dress. I'm like, damn, those kids are a tough crowd. So then, like, the food's ready, she's ready. Erica walks in this pink, poofy, cotton candy dress, and then Rinna walks in like in a pantsuit. She loves a pantsuit. And then, of course, Sutton shows up. Look, I know Sutton loves couture and all things label, but what is she wearing? What is she always wearing? I never know, like, how stuff she's just, like, like I said, like, my fashion knowledge is from Project Runway, but I'm sorry, but I've never seen something like that being like, ooh, that looks good, girl. No, Sutton, no. So then Crystal and Kathy Hilton show up. They're ready to eat. They're hungry. Crystal makes a comment about how everyone's dressed really loudly, and she dresses more conservatively. She just says like she sees her older friends dressing like young people, and she kind of cringes. But I feel like people should just be allowed to wear what they want to wear. I mean, Sutton sure does. So the ladies are drinking. Garcelle arrives and she says hi to everyone. Kathy, she takes off her mask, and Kathy is like, "Oh, I thought you were Kyle." Everybody's like, "Wait, what?" No. Apparently Kathy's eyes are really bad. I'm like, girl, get some glasses, because how in the entire world did you think Garcelle, a black, tall woman, was your short, white sister? No. You need glasses. But Crystal and Garcelle apparently know each other, so she's really happy to see her. So in Crystal's confessional, she just says, like, it's common to know people in Beverly Hills through other people, but she says if you don't know someone, then they're probably not worth knowing. So then the editors, so shady, they're asking her, like, do you know Dorit? And she's like, no. Shade. So the real Kyle shows up. Just for Kathy. She shows up with Mauricio. Mauricio starts talking to PK. They're ready to go off to do their guy thing. It's a little awkward between Garcelle and Kyle. Kyle's not really talking to her, and you could tell Garcelle's like, I don't know what to say. So she's just like, you look good. You look really good. They all start, like, you know, just talking to everyone. So, like, I guess it's just so awkward between Garcelle and Kyle. But they all start talking. They go to sit down. Garcelle's like, thank you for having us at your home. They're ready to eat. They get right back up and go to eat. I'm like, can we just stay here and eat? Like, why do we have to sit down and get back up? But they go and start to grab. So they sit back down. Lisa's like, I'm ready to get away. And Sutton's like, yeah. I'm like, calm down, Sutton. So Lisa is inviting all of the ladies to Lake Tahoe to have a good old time. They're super excited, especially Sutton. Dorit and Lisa get up to get a drink. They talk about Rinna and Garcelle's dinner. Rinna's like, we're in a good place. I'm happy to move on. Garcelle and Sutton are talking, and Garcelle's like, we talked, but, you know, I'm still hesitant. And Sutton's like, well, when I talked to Rinna, it seemed like y'all were good to go. And Garcelle was like, well, that's her bad. So she's like, I didn't say that. So Sutton's trying to convince Garcelle to talk to Rinna again and make sure they're on the same page. So we'll see how that works. So then we get this random story about Kathy Hilton, like, when they were younger, like, trying to do dental work on the neighborhood kids. It's just like, granted, I guess she was also a kid at the time, but it's still weird. And I'm like, okay, Kathy. Okay. But they all sit down and talk about like their best moments and worst moments during the pandemic, and you know, the best moments of course with their family and their kids, the worst moments just the anxiety and stress. And Erica is on an antidepressant now because she was suffering through some depression, and they're just talking about like how hard it's been, I mean, for everyone going through this. And Erica in her confessional starting to, it seems like, reveal some more about like the darkness that's going on with her and Tom. Not completely. So I'm just like, during this time, like, was she being investigated? Does she know? Or like, is she going to find out like later? It's so weird. Such a weird situation, but I'm excited for the rest of the season. And that ends this episode for the big opening of season 11, episode 1. Please comment in the comments below to let me know what you thought of this episode, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, that notification bell, so you're in the know when I release a new video, and subscribe. I would love to have you a part of Steph and Key TV. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.